Would it be global chaos in the end of the world? Absolutely not, or at least that's what most experts agree. And let's put that in terms of an example. Let's say if right now, over the next 1,000 years, we agreed to gradually slow the Earth's rotation by 7/10,000ths of a second. I'd encourage you right now to try to count what is exactly 7/10,000ths of a second. Now imagine that short amount, that moment of time, we're going to slowly slow down the Earth so the day is 7/10,000ths of a second slower, not today or tomorrow, but over 1,000 years. The day would become 86,164.09 seconds, which many people would agree would be almost an unnoticeable effect with no consequences. We're assuming, by the way, for arguments to keep this example simple, is that the space-time coupling coefficient is at a 1. So what does this mean? Is that the Earth will give up, by slowing down 7/10,000ths of a second, 3.6 times 10 to the 21st power joules. Converting that to watts, we get 1 times 10 to the 15th kilowatts hours. Now, for those of you who realize that Americans are very, very energy hungry and we consume a lot, and secondly because the data was more readily accessible for me today as I recorded this presentation, I'd like to put this in perspective for you. This amount of power created by slowing down the Earth 7/10,000ths of a second is identical to the total electric use of all Americans for 1,000 years as calculated above. In a different perspective, it's the same as if you had a large 50 megawatt electric power generating plant operating continually for 2 to the 108th power hours. That's roughly 23,000 years. That's an amazing amount of energy harvest just by a simple slowing down of the rotation of the Earth. And that tells you a little bit about the spinning energy of the Earth, which is roughly, to put that in perspective, 60,000 million times the total electric usage of Americans for the year. So this is certainly a solution. Harvesting space-time-motive force stored in the naturally occurring curved space-time around our planet could be a possible solution for the future, and the tools that we use to do that would be a time warp field generator, or what's called today a time reactor. Time warp field generators were originally designed to generate containable and controllable fields of closed time-like curves for use in physics research. They were actually, the concept of time warp field theories was discovered doing high-speed space-based navigation models where a new relationship between space-time and energy surfaced, and it made us realize that it's possible to harness this at relatively lower power levels than previously thought. It wasn't until the third generation of time warp field generator that we realized that it actually had the potential to harvest energy. So essentially, a time reactor is a time warp field generator that has been optimized for harvesting energy. And essentially all you need, is shown in the lower left, is a region where space-time is curved due to the effect of inertial frame dragging or any other naturally occurring or man-made phenomenon, and a time reactor operating in some configuration within that region of space and time. So essentially, a time reactor is a system that accesses and applies that stored potential energy within the regions of curved space-time or hyperspace. Now this could look in many different ways. On the left-hand side of the slide, you'll see configurations where the emitter and collector are in two different locations. One transmitting energy from the surface of the Earth to a platform in orbit, the other transforming energy from a platform in orbit to the surface of the Earth. On the top center, you'll see an Earth-based emitter and collector array, and on the right another configuration where perhaps time reactor configurations can be used to harvest energy for space travel, where ships can stop and refuel at any rotating mass, moon or planet, in space to recharge their systems and generate energy. It's also important to point out that a time reactor doesn't necessarily have to be on a large scale, which it can be, as shown in the lower right. It is also theoretically possible, even if not technically today, to build time reactors on a micro scale for energy production. So a single time reactor may include some parts and components either in a single point or at two or more points within a region of curved space-time or hyperspace. How does it work? Well, essentially, a time reactor simply discharges and captures the potential energy stored within curved space-time or hyperspace. First, you must be in a region with the right characteristics. This is very important. Then you must have a reactor, emitter, and collector, two key components of the system, which I'll show later, and they must be aligned either with each other or at a point of intersection that could be located at either one of their locations or at a point distance across that region of curved space-time. Then an emitter field is charged and a beam is initiated. This is done using a chemical reagent, a high-power laser array, and a high amount of initial energy. And then we introduce a very key part of this using a proprietary injector system design, a rotating field. This combines the fields created in the previous step with this one, and this combination of fields actually helps facilitate the propagation of that space-time-motive force. And also when the discharge is formed and begins, it helps contain and capture that space-time-motive force. So when the space-time-motive force discharge occurs, we simply capture that energy, and as a reminder, it does again create concentrated fields of closed time-like curves for those of you who are interested in that subject, which is separate from this presentation. The key components of a time reactor may vary both in their design and how they're assembled. These are covered by several patents that have been sequestered, as well as some that were publicly filed last year by the Anderson Institute. The key components of time reactors generally includes, of course, the environment where it must operate, a reactor emitter and collector, an energy storage device, power conduits, a control system, and a reactor field chamber. That's where we actually capture and modulate fields of closed time-like curves. Now, of course, I've shown you some very simple examples, and there are complex variances and efficiency considerations that need to be considered. Some of those more complex considerations include the fact that the Earth is not solid, that the density and the viscosity varies as we move into the Earth's core. So the space-time coupling coefficient may not be a 1. Also, the support technologies in a time reactor are lossy, and the regional characteristics in the area where it's operating may vary. We, of course, need more impact analysis, and we have to understand the effect that time reactor designs can have on our planetary system and society. But it's clear to see that the orders of magnitudes of improvement, both in output performance and risk and hazard reduction, are significant. So how do we all become a part of the solution? I had a wonderful closing slide to show you, and I decided to delete it. I deleted it because of some of the words that some of the special guests speaking to you at this academy offered earlier this week, and I'd simply like to emphasize their words of wisdom that they shared to you in their domain of expertise as well as about life. First, number 1, from Mr. George Roeder, the CEO of Engineers Without Border, as he said, change starts with you. Not only the small changes that you can affect in your life, in your homes, in your schools, in your businesses, in your families, but also in the world. And as you look to effect change for the better good of human society, always remember his key message, that intentions are not enough. It's nice to have good intentions, but sometimes the best intentions can backfire on you. You need to challenge yourself and debate and study and understand the details to make sure that the intentions and the actions that you're taking are producing the results that you're looking for. Dr. Edgar Mitchell inspired us with a lot of words, including to encourage you to follow your dreams and to have faith in yourself. And most importantly, to have hope, no matter how overwhelming the task may seem at hand, to have hope and to look for it. And if you do, you'll find it. And for you physicists who are attending the Academy this year, or future physicists, I'd like to emphasize that the first step forward to understanding new opportunities in space-time physics, those opportunities that can help ourselves and human society, that first step is the most difficult. And that first step, as we said it before, is that we do not see our universe the way it is. We see the universe the way we are. Our senses are limited. We perceive a small microscopic part of this universe around us, as well as the opportunities. We have to overcome those limitations of our senses and the limitations of the way our mind's belief system operates. And when we do that, we can better visualize the true makeup and nature of space-time in our universe and how to better put it to use for the betterment of human society and this planet. Thank you again for all your consideration, and I look forward to speaking with you again in the future. Goodbye for now.